I'm here at Calf Pasture Beach in Norwalk today, and I want to talk to you guys about addiction and my journey with addiction. And today we're gonna be focused more so on nicotine addiction, cigarettes, and how I quit. I haven't had any nicotine in about 2 years at this point in my life, and I just want to share some insights on that journey. And even though we're talking specifically about nicotine and cigarettes, this applies to pretty much any kind of addiction because the root of it stems from a lot of the same places. And I think the biggest one in some cases is avoidance. Avoidance, and in the form of coping. So the reason we'll use addictions to avoid things that we don't like to deal with, at least in my case with cigarettes, is I would say this will alleviate my stress. This will help me feel better. It would make me present to the moment and basically take me out of my head. All things that I've learned, there is no real need for a substance to do that. As far as coping, you can't cope and thrive simultaneously in your life. What I mean by this is, because it has to do with your perception of what life is. So if your perception of life is something you need to cope with and deal with, then how can you ever have that paradigm and still love your life, right? And you might say, well, Mars, it just sucks. I have to cope with it. This is just bad. And I'm not here to tell you to gaslight yourself or to convince yourself something of other than what it is. But I just want you to notice how you can't have both things, right? You can't think that life is this terrible thing that sucks and also thrive in it and enjoy and love your life. So first I want you to notice that. And once you notice that, you got to see, what do you want out of life? So how you're perceiving it and what you want out of it are usually pretty different things, because my guess is you want to love your life. You want to enjoy your existence. And wanting to enjoy that, there are those things that are blocking you. Are you willing to let them go or not? And what are those things? The addiction comes in, though, when you're avoiding answering those questions. You're avoiding the emptiness. You're avoiding the negative emotions. You're avoiding conflict in a way that you don't have to think about it. And for a lot of people it's nicotine, but for some people it's alcohol, some people it's food, some people it's TV, some people it's sex, some people it's marijuana, some people it's way harder drugs. But that's why these lessons apply in many different ways. But the way I'm saying it makes it sound easy, like, oh, well, just change the way you look at it and all the problems will go away. That's not what I'm saying. When I quit, I had to make multiple attempts. So my first couple attempts at quitting, let's say nicotine, you gotta be comfortable with failure, right? And the first couple times that I tried, I'd go a couple days, relapse. I'd make it a week, relapse. Even a couple months and go back. But in all of those times that I tried, I was still learning something. And I think that if you take it all as a learning experience and you're detached from the outcome, you can do it because you're going to take what you can handle. But doing it and failing is better than not doing anything at all, right? If you're not going to try at all, then nothing is going to change for you. And if you're watching this video, then it's probably because you have some sort of addiction that you want to get rid of, right? You don't want to have anymore. And if you want to move through that, there is some advice that I can give you. One, you got to verbalize it to yourself. You got to tell yourself, hey, this is what I want to do. I don't know what it's going to take and how I'm going to get there, but you got to make that internal choice of, I'm going to do it. Doesn't matter how long it's going to take or what way it takes me, but I'm serious about changing these habits and getting to it. And dealing with me and nicotine, right? The withdrawals were very intense. I couldn't sleep at night. I was sweating. I would actually walk to this beach from my house, which is a couple miles away, and I would walk here middle of the night, start at like midnight, would get here probably somewhere like 2 a.m., walk back, the sun would start coming up, still couldn't sleep. There were multiple times where I'd walk back again to the beach, or I'd take my longboard, and it was miserable. A lot of times I knew, well, if I just smoked, I could just go to bed, or I could just deal with it. But again, it's that coping mindset. How do I deal with this? How do I cope with this? And a lot of this we're either taught through school, through friends, through family, and unlearning it can be very difficult, especially now you have your body fighting you. And I think that the body fighting you is honestly probably the easiest part. Yeah, it sucks, but it's gonna stop at some point. Even if it takes days, weeks, months, even if it takes you a year or two to really get rid of all the withdrawal symptoms that are bodily. The hardest part is the psychological thing, because you weren't born with, some substance abuse problem, right? You could have been born into a family with substance abuse issues. You could have been born into a neighborhood with substance abuse issues. You could have learned them, but there was a point in your life where those weren't existent. What was that for you? Can you remember that? Can you visualize it? And sitting with that, some of the questions you might want to ask yourself is, how did I get here? How did I get to this point where I feel like I need this to get through my life, to get through every day? And what are you avoiding? This is, again, the biggest question, because the one thing I've noticed, and those around me who have managed to quit some of their addictions, is they're bored at this point. They don't know what to do with themselves. Well, now I don't even know what to do. I'm just kind of here pacing in circles. Or, I have this emptiness, this empty space in my life. What am I going to do with that empty space? But that empty space is the space that you have to live your life. If you're not filling that space with things that make you happy and fill you, you're filling them with things that only take away, and you get used to that. What do you think is going to happen? I don't have to tell you what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen if that's the path that you continue to walk down. And once you have that empty space open up, it's going to be super uncomfortable. So with that uncomfortable space, how do you fill it? What is it that you love? You know how many people are separated from the things that bring them joy? Like walking on the beach. This is enjoy. I'm having fun. This is nice. Breathing in all of this air, fresh air, being right by the water, being around people, being out in nature, all awesome stuff. Playing music for me. You guys know I play in a band and I love it more than anything else. What else? People get into drawing. My mother actually was talking to me. She's quitting nicotine and has been doing very well, and has found herself painting, drawing, going outside, doing things that has always intrinsically interested her. But instead of going and doing that, it's just easier to go and smoke a cigarette, right? And for anybody else, fill in the blank. Easier to go and have a beer. Easier to go and smoke a joint. Easier to sit down and binge some TV. Whatever that is, taking that uncomfortable space and thinking, what do I want to fill this with? That's where life happens. It's in that empty space, because everything else is survival, right? And the reason we want to cope is because survival can be difficult, sure. And I wouldn't say most, but a lot of our energy goes into just surviving, right? Getting enough money to pay the bills, going to the gym maybe, getting strong, getting lean, having social interactions. Maybe you have a spouse at home, maybe you have kids, maybe a lot of your energy is going just into maintaining the kind of lifestyle that you like. Cool, but if you have a substance abuse problem, then there's other time that is not being used to just survive, but instead you're filling it with these substances that are really just to avoid this emptiness and unsatisfaction, you could say. And the reason it's so hard to walk away from those substances is because you're left then with that emptiness that you've been filling there, because filling that emptiness, as fulfilling as it can be, literally fulfilling, you're filling up the void of that space with something, and that's what makes you feel good, right? So having that space at first can be crazy uncomfortable, but it's not just about powering through it, because again, the mindset isn't coping. This isn't this is an opportunity. This is not a negative thing. You now have this space and you can create anything you want in that space with your life and with your time. What's that gonna be? And like for me, that's music. I have friends who enjoy rock climbing. I think that's really cool. Playing soccer, just a sport, making art, acting. Anything that it is for you, it's gonna be for you. But you have to sit there and deal with that empty space. And yes, it's uncomfortable, and I wish I could give you, if you're looking for an easy answer, if you're looking for me to give you the key that's gonna unlock all of it and make it super easy for you, no, it's not easy. It's easier to just cope, and it's easier to have these substances. That's why they're so prominent, especially in our culture here in the US, but really all over the world, right? So it wasn't easy for me to stop. It took me lots of tries to do that. And of course, you know, we can be addicted even to negative thought patterns. We can be addicted to states of feeling, and we're addicted to feeling those feelings. Addiction runs deep, so I am by no means have no addictions, right? I'm just giving you my experience and hoping that in some way this is gonna help you in your experience by sharing this information with you, because it's just really changed my life. It has changed my life in such a beautiful, powerful way that I want to share it with you. And I can share it with you because I've taken the time to figure out what's important to me. What do I like? I like building community. I like talking to you guys. I like having this experience right here. And the more room that I make to do these things, the more meaningful my life becomes, right? And when you get into meaning and purpose and direction of life, one of the biggest blockages is addiction. So there will definitely be more content made about this topic. There's so much more to say. If you guys have more questions, more stuff you want me to say, more stuff you'd like me to talk about regarding this, I'd love to hear your experience with addiction. I'd love to hear addictions you've overcome, addictions you're struggling with, addiction in your family. Talk to me, and I will generate more content that is helpful, right? My whole goal in this is I hope that it's helpful to those watching. And I want to share these insights with you and my experience. And I think that's something we can all do together. And I couldn't do it without you guys. So I'm very blessed for all of you. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it with a friend who's struggling with addiction, somebody you think could get some inspiration out of this video. Stay blessed, stay connected, stay healthy. Peace out.